The lighthouse without a Sharif forest was silent again, but not with peace. It was the tense, breathless quiet that follows the clash of forces too great to fully understand. The cloaked figure had retreated into the mist, vanishing like a shadow swallowed by its own darkness. Jack, bent over and catching his breath, wiped sweat from his brow and muttered, "That was not in the travel brochure." Mara stood perfectly still, one hand on her cane, eyes scanning the trees. "They will not give up, whoever they were. They have marked us now." The fragment has awakened their attention. Promethei knelt, placing the glowing shard carefully into a pouch lined with silk. Even hidden, its pulse was faintly visible, like a heartbeat beneath cloth. "The house entrusted us with knowledge beyond time, and like a beacon, it draws both allies and predators. We must move before night fully deepens." Jack looked up sharply. "Move where? That village we saw? Or should we run until our legs fall off?" Mara's lips curled in a thin, almost amused smile. "Neither. There is a place safer than villages or roads. A sanctuary where the fragment can speak freely without interference." Jack raised an eyebrow. "And this place has a name, I'm guessing?" Promethei nodded. "The lighthouse without a shore." They set out under the moon, leaving the forest behind. The ground slopped downward, and the mist thinned to reveal a strange landscape, jagged cliffs that stretched endlessly, broken by patches of silver sand and pools of still, reflective water. Jack slowed, baffled. "This isn't on any map I've ever seen." Mara's voice softened, reverent. "Few can find it, fewer can leave it unchanged." The wind carried a scent of salt and old storms, though no ocean was in sight. The sky above was a swirl of stars, brighter here than anywhere else, as if the heavens bent closer to listen. Promethei gestured toward the horizon. "Look." Jack followed their gaze and froze. Far in the distance, standing alone on a barren cliff, was a towering lighthouse. Its beacon burned with silver fire, sweeping across a landscape with no sea. Waves of light rolled out like tides, bending reality with each pulse. Jack rubbed his eyes. "That's impossible. That's not a lighthouse. I don't know what that is." Mara adjusted her grip on the cane. "It is older than the maps you know, older than kingdoms. It was built when the world's edges were still raw, when knowledge had shape and weight. The lighthouse guides those who seek understanding, and warns those who seek power." Jack swallowed. "And we're which one? Seekers of understanding or power?" Promethei gave a faint smile. "That is what the lighthouse will decide." The journey toward the tower was not straightforward. The ground shifted subtly, paths folding in on themselves, as if the land were alive. Pools of water reflected not their faces, but fragments of memory, glimpses of Mara's days at the university, Promethei's solitary travels, Jack's endless tinkering in dim workshops. Each vision flickered like candlelight and then vanished. Jack shivered. "I don't like this. Feels like walking through someone else's dream. Or, worse, walking through my own." Promethei's voice was calm. "The lighthouse's domain bends perception. It measures you before you reach it. Do not fear what it shows. Fear only losing yourself in it." Mara's steps were steady. "This place was built as a sanctuary for knowledge, but all sanctuaries have trials. The lighthouse guards itself against the unworthy." Jack muttered, "Great. More trials. Just what I wanted after almost being fried alive by a staff-wielding maniac." Hours passed, though time felt strange here. The stars above shifted positions faster than they should have, swirling like a cosmic clock ticking toward something inevitable. The air grew colder as they approached the towering structure. Its light was mesmerizing, sweeping across the barren land, revealing glimpses of things that weren't there. Phantom ships sailing, invisible oceans, shadowy towers in the distance, entire cities rising and vanishing with each pulse of light. Jack stopped, wide-eyed. "Did you see that? That looked like a whole city." Mara nodded slowly. "The lighthouse shows echoes of places lost to time. Knowledge is never truly gone. It is simply refracted." Promethei's expression was unreadable. "It reminds us that all things leave traces, no matter how well hidden. Even us, Jack groaned softly. Fantastic. So now, I'm being judged by a magic light bulb that knows my whole life story. Not judged, Mara said softly. Measured, at last. They stood before the lighthouse without a shore. Its walls were black stone, carved with glowing sigils that pulsed in rhythm with its sweeping light. The massive door at its base bore no handle or lock, only a single, shifting symbol that seemed to study them. Promethei stepped forward, holding out the fragment of echoes. The moment the shard touched the air, the sigil flared, and the door began to move, not swinging open, but unfolding like a blooming flower, revealing a spiraling staircase of silver light inside. Jack whispered, Okay, that's incredible. And terrifying. Mostly terrifying. Promethei glanced back. The house taught us patience. Here, we must remember humility. Mara inclined her head. The lighthouse has accepted our presence. For now. Jack rubbed his neck. For now? You mean it can still change its mind? Mara's smile was small but amused. Of course. Inside, the lighthouse felt endless. The spiral staircase seemed suspended in a void of stars, with faint whispers echoing from unseen corridors. Every step they took sent ripples of light outward, revealing more sigils and runes along the walls. Jack touched one of the glowing markings and jerked his hand back as an image flared in his mind, a memory he'd long forgotten. His first invention, a tiny clockwork bird, breaking apart in his hands as a child. He gasped. Promethei looked at him knowingly. It shows us pieces of ourselves. It measures our intentions, not our strength. Jack muttered, I'd rather it didn't dig through my childhood trauma. Thanks. Mara was quiet, her eyes scanning the glowing rooms. It's not cruelty, it's honesty. The lighthouse shows you what you carry, what you can't hide. They climbed higher, the light intensifying with each step. At last, they emerged into the beacon chamber, and what they saw defied language. The top of the lighthouse was not a simple room, but an entire starfield contained in glass. The beacon itself was a massive sphere of liquid light, spinning slowly, its surface rippling like water. Every pulse of its glow sent waves of illumination across the void, and each wave carried visions, galaxies forming, kingdoms rising and falling, civilizations burning and rebuilding. Jack whispered, This is a map of everything. Promethei's voice was hushed, reverent. No, this is not a map. This is memory. The lighthouse remembers what the world has forgotten. Mara stepped forward, her cane clicking softly against the glass floor. And now, it will see if we are worthy of remembering. The beacon flared suddenly, a wave of silver light sweeping through the chamber. Symbols spiraled in the air, wrapping around Promethei, Mara, and Jack. The fragment in Promethei's hand glowed brighter than ever, resonating with the beacon's pulse. Jack shielded his eyes. Is it supposed to do that? Promethei's expression was calm, but their voice carried weight. The lighthouse without a shore is speaking to us. And then, the world dissolved into light. Light swallowed everything. For a moment, there was no floor beneath their feet, no sound, no air, only a blinding, endless silver radiance. Jack stumbled, reaching blindly for something solid, but his hand met nothing. Panic rose in his chest. Mara? Promethei? His voice echoed strangely, as if the light itself were carrying it. I'm here, Mara's calm voice replied, though it seemed distant, like a memory speaking through a dream. Promethei's tone was steady, grounding. Do not resist. The lighthouse is not attacking us. It is revealing. The light rippled like water, and suddenly the void around them shifted. They stood not in a starfield, but on an immense plain of glass, stretching infinitely in all directions. Beneath the glass flowed oceans of memories, visions of wars, celebrations, inventions, and ruins, all swirling together. Above, the beacon floated, a colossal sphere of liquid silver light suspended in the void. Its glow pulsed like a living heart. Each pulse sent tremors through the glass plane, causing flashes of images beneath their feet, towering cities crumbling into dust, ships sailing skies instead of seas, and figures cloaked in robes of light, wielding artifacts of unimaginable power. Jack crouched, pressing his hand to the glass. These are memories, not ours, are they? Promethei knelt beside him, their expression solemn. No, these are the memories of the world itself. The lighthouse remembers everything, even what has been erased from history. Mara's cane tapped the surface, and a new ripple spread outward, showing a massive, spiraling library that reached beyond the stars. This place is older than time as we understand it. Knowledge cannot die, it only hides, waiting for those who seek with pure intent. Jack frowned. Pure intent, huh? I'm not sure I qualify. The lighthouse pulsed again, and this time, the visions focused on him. Jack flinched as images surged upward, his workshop cluttered with failed inventions, the countless late nights tinkering with gears and steam engines, his laughter when something worked, his tears when it didn't, and then something deeper, boy, no older than 8, cradling a broken clockwork bird. Jack whispered, That's me. From years ago. The lighthouse's voice was not a sound, but a resonance that filled their minds. A creator seeks purpose, a mind of ingenuity, tempered by doubt. He does not see himself as a guardian of knowledge, yet he has always tried to build bridges where none existed. Jack blinked. Is it talking about me? Like, actually talking? Promethei nodded slowly. The lighthouse speaks through memory. It sees your essence, Jack. Mara's gaze softened. It sees potential. Jack rubbed his face. Fantastic. Now, I'm having my soul analyzed by a magical flashlight. The light shifted, now surrounding Mara. Her vision was a storm of books, ink, and candles. She stood at a lectern, lecturing a hall full of eager students, her voice strong. Then came flashes of grief, colleagues lost to time, discoveries censored, scrolls burned. Yet through it all, her expression never faltered. The lighthouse's resonance deepened. The teacher carries truth like a lantern in darkness. Her heart has known loss, yet her resolve burns unbroken. She is a keeper of memory, bound not by time, but by duty. Mara exhaled softly. It is accurate. Painfully so. Promethei reached for her hand. Your strength is why we are here. Then the light turned toward Promethei. The resonance grew. Quiet, almost reverent. Promethei's reflection filled the void, but not as they appeared now. They stood cloaked in silver robes, a staff in one hand and a crystal in the other. Behind them, a vast civilization of towers and glowing bridges stretched across the horizon. But in an instant, that world-shattered buildings crumbled, stars dimmed, and Promethei stood alone in a barren wasteland. Jack shivered. That's not just memory, is it? Promethei's eyes were distant. No, that is the truth of my origin. The lighthouse's voice echoed like 1,000 bells. The wanderer bears scars from a world that no longer exists. He carries wisdom, but also guilt. He is a bridge between ages, a vessel for knowledge lost and found. His path is heavy, but he does not walk it alone. Promethei closed their eyes, accepting the words. I know. The three stood together in silence, the visions fading. The lighthouse pulsed one final time, and its voice filled their minds. The fragment of echoes has awakened. You have been measured. Courage, wisdom, and ingenuity are present. But the shadow that follows is near. The void trembled. The visions beneath the glass twisted, revealing a cloaked figure, the one they had faced in the forest, standing before a massive, horned silhouette. Its eyes burned red, and in its hands were chains that reached across worlds. Jack staggered back. Oh no, oh. That's who's after us. Mara's voice was steady, though her grip on the cane tightened. That is no ordinary enemy. Promethei's expression darkened. No, that is a hunter of knowledge, a devourer of light. If it holds chains, it seeks to bind what it cannot understand. The lighthouse's resonance grew heavier, almost mournful. The house of falling leaves has given its gift. The lighthouse has shown its truth. Now, you must choose, to hide or to confront the coming darkness. The fragment is not just a relic, it is a key. Jack swallowed. A key to what? Exactly? The answer came like a whisper that shook their bones. To the first gate. To the place where worlds end and begin again. The light dimmed. The void shattered. They were back in the beacon chamber, the silver sphere spinning calmly, as if nothing had happened. Jack leaned on the railing, pale. Okay, that was a lot. We've got a magical lighthouse telling us there's some giant chain-wielding Doombringer hunting us, and this little crystal shard is a key to something apocalyptic. Great. Mara nodded thoughtfully. Not apocalyptic. Foundational. There is a difference. Promethei closed their hand over the fragment. We have our next destination. The first gate. Jack groaned. Do I even want to know where that is? Promethei's faint smile was grim. No, but we must go anyway. And then, the world dissolved into light. The hum of the beacon lingered like a heartbeat as silence fell over the chamber. For a moment, none of them moved. Jack gripped the railing, staring at the slowly rotating sphere of liquid light. Mara leaned on her cane, her sharp eyes scanning the intricate sigils glowing faintly along the walls. Promethei stood perfectly still, one hand resting over the fragment of echoes as if to calm its restless pulse. Jack broke the silence. So, is it just me? Or did that magical lighthouse basically tell us we're all doomed? Mara's lips curved faintly. It didn't say, doomed. It said, measured. There's a difference. Yeah, that sounds like a polite way of saying doomed. Jack muttered. Promethei finally spoke. The lighthouse has revealed much, but it has not finished testing us. Look. They gestured to the floor. The glass surface beneath their feet rippled like water, and glowing runes rearranged themselves into a vast circular pattern, stretching to the edges of the room. The beacon dimmed slightly, and a voice filled the air, not words, but a melodic resonance that made the sigils shift in time with its rhythm. Jack took a step back. Oh, good. Now, the floor's singing. Mara knelt, tracing one glowing line with her finger. No, it's not singing. It's speaking a language older than writing. This is a memory puzzle, a test of comprehension. We must solve it to unlock the lighthouse's final message. Jack groaned. Great. Ancient glowing floor Sudoku. My favorite. The runes pulsed in 3 concentric rings, rotating slowly. Promethei crouched and studied them close, eyes narrowing in concentration. These symbols, I know them. They are from my homeland, the old world, before it burned. Jack glanced at them. You mean that wasteland vision we saw wasn't just a light show? Promethei's voice was calm, though heavy with memory. No, it was a memory. My memory. Mara turned to them. Tell us. Promethei hesitated, then began tracing one of the runes with their fingertip. I was born in a city called Asterion, a place of scholars and architects. We believed knowledge was a living thing, a river flowing through time. But some sought to dam that river, to control it. That was the beginning of the end. The runes shifted in response to their words, the rings slowing. Mara watched intently. The puzzle reacts to truth. Jack rubbed his neck nervously. Cool. So if we lie, do we, explode? Promethei didn't answer, instead moving their hand to the next ring. When the wars began, I was chosen to carry the fragments of memory pieces of our greatest works, our deepest wisdom. The House of Falling Leaves was built to guard them, to outlive us. But the world shattered faster than we could save it. Images rippled beneath the glass, towers collapsing, skyships burning, rivers boiling away. Under fire, Jack's face paled. Promethei's voice grew softer. I escaped. Alone. I walked through the ashes of my own people, carrying what little we could save. The ring stopped spinning. The runes glowed brighter, forming a single pathway of light leading toward the beacon. Mara's voice was hushed. The lighthouse accepts your truth. Jack swallowed hard. That's heavy. He looked at Promethei. I didn't realize you weren't just some wandering sage with a glowing rock. You're like the last archive of an entire civilization. Promethei gave him a faint smile. Perhaps, but now that burden is shared. They followed the glowing path to the center of the room. The beacon's surface rippled, and a pedestal of silver light rose from the floor, holding a small crystalline object. It looked like a fragment of the lighthouse itself, pulsing faintly in time with the beacon's rhythm. Mara stepped closer. A key, or a token, likely both. Promethei lifted it carefully. The moment their hand closed around it, the runes on the walls flared bright, and the chamber shook. Jack jumped back. Is it supposed to do that? Mara's eyes widened. No, something's interfering. The silver light of the lighthouse flickered, dimmed, and then shadows bled into the edges of the room. A low hum vibrated through the floor, deeper and colder than the lighthouse's song. Jack's stomach dropped. Oh no, that vibe. That's Hunter vibe. A voice, oily and sharp, slithered through the air. Clever little seekers. Even the lighthouse cannot hide you now. Promethei's hand tightened around the fragment. It's him. From the shadows, a figure stepped forward, the same cloaked hunter from the forest, now clearer in form. His cloak seemed woven from darkness itself, swallowing light around him. In his hands were chains, black and smoking, each link etched with runes that pulsed like dying stars. Jack's voice cracked. Yep, totally hunter vibe. The hunter's voice was calm, mocking. You walk ancient paths as if they are yours to claim, but knowledge is power, and power must be chained. Mara stepped in front of Jack, her cane glowing faintly with stored energy. Knowledge is not yours to bind. The hunter smiled beneath his hood. Everything can be bound, even light. The chains moved on their own, slithering across the glass floor like serpents. Jack jumped back as one whipped toward him, narrowly missing his leg. Okay. So fighting in a glass tower full of ancient magical knowledge. Not my favorite battlefield, he shouted, fumbling for a wrench in his pack. Promethei raised the fragment high. Its silver light flared, pushing back the creeping shadows. We cannot allow him to touch the beacon. The hunter's chains lashed out again, striking against the light shield with a deafening clang. Sparks of energy rained down, making the entire chamber flicker. Mara whispered sharply, Promethei, the lighthouse's blessing. Use it. Promethei closed their eyes, and the crystalline key in their hand began to hum in harmony with the fragment. Light pulsed outward, forming a shield around the beacon. The hunter hissed. Defiance. Chains struck again. Harder this time, shaking the glass floor. Jack ducked behind a railing. I have an idea. It's dumb, but I have an idea. Mara raised an eyebrow, deflecting a chain strike with her cane. Jack, at this point, all ideas are welcome. The chains lashed again, cracking against the glass floor and leaving black scorch marks in their wake. The hunter advanced, each step echoing like a hammer on hollow steel. His cloak billowed unnaturally, shadows twisting and writhing as if alive. Jack peeked over the railing, clutching a wrench in one hand and a coil of copper wire in the other. Okay, not ideal. But if I'm right, this whole place is basically a giant conductor, right? Promethei, straining to hold the shimmering barrier, shouted, yes. The lighthouse channels energy through the entire structure. Jack's grin was manic. Perfect. Then if we reroute that flow through something volatile. Mara's voice was calm, though she was clearly fighting to hold her ground. Jack, you're proposing to overload the lighthouse. Not overload. Just give it a tiny push. A nudge, like tapping a beehive to scare away a bear. Promethei's eyes narrowed. And what happens when the beehive explodes? Jack ducked as a chain slammed down where he'd been standing a moment earlier. Then we hope the explosion is pointed at him. The hunter's voice slithered through the chamber. You meddle with forces you cannot comprehend. Knowledge is not a toy for mortals. Mara's cane glowed brighter, releasing a wave of crackling energy that momentarily slowed the chains. She glared at him. Neither is tyranny. You've chained enough truth already. The hunter tilted his head. Truth is dangerous. Unfettered, it devours civilizations. Your friend, he gestured at Promethei, knows this well. He carries the ruins of his own world upon his shoulders. Promethei didn't flinch. You twist history to justify your own hunger. You are no guardian. You are a parasite. Chains whipped forward again, this time striking Promethei's shield directly. The barrier splintered like glass under strain. Jack cursed under his breath. All right, Time for stupid engineering heroics. He sprinted toward a glowing sigil etched into the floor, pried it open with his wrench, and revealed a swirling core of silver energy beneath. Sparks snapped and hissed, like lightning trapped in liquid. Promethei? Which one of these glowing tubes won't kill me if I unplug it? Jack shouted. Promethei spared a glance, sweat beading at their temple. The blue one. No, the other blue one. Jack squinted. They're all blue. A chain lashed toward him. Jack yelped and dove out of the way, landing hard on his shoulder. Fine, I'm picking this one. He yanked a cable free, and the entire lighthouse flickered violently. The hunter paused, cocking his head. What are you? Jack shoved the copper wire into the open conduit, twisting it until sparks exploded outward, making a light show. The floor beneath them hummed with raw energy. The glowing rings of sigils flared, spinning faster and faster, filling the chamber with a deafening hum. Promethei's eyes widened. Jack, you're channeling the lighthouse's memory circuits into its core. Yeah, sounds bad when you say it like that. The hunter snarled, his voice dropping to a guttural growl. Stop him. Chains shot toward Jack, but Mara slammed her cane against the floor, summoning a wall of crackling energy that blocked the attack. Focus, Jack, she shouted. Jack's hands moved in a blur, twisting wires, rerouting power, sparks flying around him. Almost there, almost now. He slammed two cables together. The lighthouse erupted in light. A shockwave of silver energy blasted outward, throwing everyone off their feet. The chains screamed as they recoiled, sizzling with static. The hunter staggered back, his cloak flickering like dying fire. For the first time, he looked surprised. Promethei seized the moment, raising the fragment of echoes high. Its light resonated with the lighthouses, forming a massive barrier of pure silver energy that enclosed the beacon. The hunter hissed. You think you've won? This place is but a spark in the void. I will find you, and when I do, his voice dissolved into static as his form melted into the shadows. The chain slithered away, vanishing like smoke and wind. Silence. Jack collapsed onto his back, panting. Okay, I think I just rewired an ancient magical supercomputer without blowing us up. Can I get a medal? Or maybe a nap? Mara exhaled, slowly, lowering her cane. You nearly destabilized the lighthouse. Jack grinned weakly. Yeah, but it worked. Promethei approached, their face unreadable. You're reckless. Jack sat up, smirking. You're welcome. For a moment, Promethei just stared at him, then unexpectedly smiled. Thank you. The beacon pulsed gently now, as if approving their actions. The pedestal in the center glowed brighter, and an intricate map of stars appeared in the air above it. Mara studied it carefully. Coordinates. This is the location of the first gate. Promethei nodded. Our next destination. Jack groaned. Please tell me it's somewhere with good food and zero shadow chain psychos. Promethei gave him a grim smile. I suspect you will be disappointed. The chamber slowly calmed. The hum of the beacon returned to its steady rhythm, pulsing softly, almost like a heartbeat in time with their own. The silver light of the lighthouse reflected off the walls, bathing the trio in an ethereal glow. Jack stretched, wincing at his shoulder. So, we survived. I didn't electrocute myself. The place didn't implode, and the shadow guy ran off. Sort of. That counts as a win, right? Mara allowed a small smile, her eyes still scanning the glowing sigils. A partial victory. The lighthouse tested us, measured us, and allowed us passage. But remember, it does not reward recklessness. Promethei's gaze remained fixed on the spinning beacon. The fragment resonates with the lighthouse. It has accepted our presence, but the hunter is not finished. He knows where we are, and he will not wait long before returning. Jack groaned. Great. So the guy with shadow chains is going to stalk us across the universe. That's reassuring. Mara's voice was calm, almost soft. He is a reminder. Knowledge is never safe from those who would seize it for themselves. Every step we take will be watched, tested, and challenged. Promethei stepped closer to the pedestal. The crystalline key they had claimed earlier floated in their hand, pulsing with soft silver light. This key is a guide. It points toward the first gate. The lighthouse has judged our courage, wisdom, and unity. It has deemed us worthy to continue. Jack's grin returned, albeit shakily. So, next stop, the first gate. Sounds fun, and probably not terrifying at all. Mara's eyes swept over the chamber, taking in the sigils and runes etched into the walls. Every journey has its tests. The lighthouse gave us a glimpse of the path ahead. What we saw, the hunter, the chains, the echoes of past worlds, are all warnings. We must carry this knowledge carefully. Promethei placed the fragment and the key into a protective satchel. We leave here with the blessings of the lighthouse, but we cannot linger. Time bends differently here. We may have gained strength, but we have also drawn attention. The hunter knows our intent, and he will act. Jack slung his bag over his shoulder, wrench in hand. Terrific. So, glowing lighthouses, memory floods, and stalker psychos. Just another Tuesday in our lives. Mara allowed herself a faint laugh. You adapt well, Jack. That may be the most important skill of all. Promethei glanced back at the beacon one last time. The first gate awaits, and with it, the next trial. We have been tested, but the journey is only beginning. Jack sighed dramatically. I hope the next trial involves slightly fewer exploding chains. Just a personal preference. Mara's voice was quiet, steady. We will face what comes. Together. Promethei nodded. Together. The trio turned, stepping toward the lighthouse exit. Outside, the barren cliff stretched endlessly, bathed in moonlight. The golden light of the beacon lingered behind them, a silent sentinel watching as they began the next chapter of their journey. And somewhere in the shadows beyond the horizon, the hunter watched, waiting, plotting, and the first gate drew ever closer. The chamber settled into uneasy calm, but the air still hummed with latent energy. The beacon pulsed softly, its silver light rippling across the spiraling staircases and glass floors. Jack wiped sweat from his brow, sitting on the edge of a glowing platform. I think I just survived a magical supernova. Can we maybe not do that again? Mara shook her head, her face still solemn. That was not an accident. The lighthouse tests more than reflexes. It measures intention, patience, and understanding. Recklessness would have ended differently. Jack groaned. Great. So my bad ideas might have killed us. Got it. Promethei stood at the pedestal, gazing at the crystalline key. Its silver glow seemed to pulse in time with the lighthouse itself, as if alive. The key is more than a guide. It is a living artifact. It resonates with the memories stored here, with the echoes of civilizations long gone. Every pulse you feel is a heartbeat of worlds that once were. Jack tilted his head. So it's basically a glowing diary that might kill us if we sneeze? Mara's lips twitched. If the diary had teeth, yes. Promethei knelt, pressing a finger against the surface of the beacon. Light rippled outward, sending waves across the glass floor. Shadows moved along the edges of the chamber, not quite solid, like smoke caught in a breeze. The hunter sensed this resonance. He has already marked the fragment. His chains are drawn to its presence. We are not safe, even here. Jack's stomach tightened. Yeah, about that. Did we learn anything from the last run-in with him? He's fast, creepy, and apparently loves chain-whipping people. Just want to make sure we have a plan. Promethei's eyes were distant. Plans alone will not save us. Knowledge, focus, and courage will. The lighthouse has measured each of us, and it has deemed us capable of what is coming. But capable is not the same as unthreatened. Mara's gaze swept the chamber. The beacon showed us memories and echoes for a reason. It is a guide, yes, but also a warning. The first gate, wherever it lies, will be far more dangerous than this place. And the hunter is only a shadow of the trials that await. Jack slumped against the railing. Fabulous. So we go from a singing, exploding floor to slightly worse than death. Good to know the scale. Promethei traced a hand along the pedestal. These trials are not punishment. They are preparation. The lighthouse has chosen to share with us, to illuminate the path. And yet, their eyes narrowed. It also reveals what we carry within us. Our fears, our regrets, our failures. It asks us if we are strong enough not to let them control us. Jack muttered, I think I've already failed half of those. But okay. Mara placed a calming hand on his shoulder. Strength is not absence of fear. It is moving forward despite it. Promethei lifted the fragment, its light intertwining with the key. Silver energy flowed around them, filling the chamber with a warmth that contrasted the cold shadows still curling along the edges. The lighthouse speaks, but it also listens. Every choice, every action resonates. What we do next will echo far beyond this room. Jack blinked at them. Great. Echoes. Fantastic. Should I start panicking now or later? Mara's eyes twinkled faintly. Panic can wait. Observation cannot. A sudden pulse ran through the floor, like the beat of a colossal heart. The shadows recoiled slightly, writhing, as if in pain. Jack tensed. That's new. Did the floor just shiver? Promethei nodded. The lighthouse reacts to intent. It senses readiness and hesitation. We are being measured one final time before departure. Even the hunter cannot enter until the threshold is crossed. Jack frowned. So, we're being graded while a chain-loving stalker waits outside. Got it. Mara adjusted her cane, stepping forward. The threshold is not physical. It is mental, moral, and spiritual. We carry the fragment, yes, but also the weight of choices made, and choices yet to come. Only by aligning ourselves with the lighthouse's rhythm can we leave intact. Promethei extended both hands, allowing the key and the fragment to float slightly above the pedestal. Light spiraled between them, forming a bridge of pure silver energy. Step together, step with clarity, step as one. Only then will the path forward reveal itself. Jack swallowed hard. Okay, one coordinated step. Easy enough. What could possibly go wrong? The three approached the center, the bridge of light stretching before them like a river of liquid silver. Each step made the chamber pulse, and the shadows at the edges hissed, writhing like snakes caught in light. Jack glanced at the hunter's reflection in the glass floor. Just a shadow now, distant but present and swallowed. Promethei spoke softly. This is the moment the lighthouse tests us fully. Not our skill, not our strength, but our unity. Jack exhaled. Unity. Got it. Step as one, and pray it doesn't fry us. Together, they stepped onto the bridge of light. The chamber trembled, and the beacon flared, bathing them in silver brilliance. The shadows screamed and recoiled, forced back by the combined resonance of the fragment, the key, and their will. The lighthouse's pulse slowed, then steadied. The path forward, the spiral staircase descending into unknown realms, opened fully, bathed in gentle light. Outside, the barren cliff stretched infinitely, calm now, though the moonlight revealed faint traces of the hunter observing from afar.